In today's video, I'm looking at a pen that's been around on the market for a little while. It's from the Chinese brand Admok, and it is their M800. Now, this is very clearly modeled off the Pelikan M800 model. And I'll show it in comparison to that in this video so you can see how similar it actually is. But does this pen stand up as a pen in its own right? You know, a lot of reviewers have suggested that it's probably one of the better dupes out on the market, so let's see how my testing goes. So please like and subscribe and hit the notifications button, and please consider becoming a member of this channel, where for a small monthly fee you'll get things like priority comments, early access to my videos, and once the community's grown a little bit, we'll start doing some members only Q&As. And every dollar that is pumped into this channel by you, the viewers, goes straight back into the channel and allows me to get pens like this to review for you. So let's check out the Admok M800. So here it is, the Admok M800. I'll show it in the size comparison and stuff, but let's just acknowledge the fact that this is the Pelikan M805, which is an 800 model, and this is the M800 from Admok. They're not hiding the fact at all here. If you are interested in me doing a full comparison video of those two pens at some point, let me know in the comments and I'll try and schedule it in. In the meantime, let's talk about this pen. So starting at the top, we get a bird pattern. I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick that up with the lighting. There's a little bird sort of motif there, and then we get this sort of double beveled crown, and then we get a clip that looks a bit like a bird's beak there, perhaps maybe the beak of a pelican, and then the cap swells ever so slightly to this double gold band that says Admok, and ironically Ingenuity there, and China. A little step down onto the barrel, which is this beautiful sort of marbled blue material, which is like genuinely gorgeous, and that continues to the gold ring there, and then the black piston turning knob with a little domed end. So this is a piston filling pen. There are tons of videos online, including here on my channel, about how to fill it. I can't show you how it fills now because it is filled with ink, but I'll talk about it in just a second. It is a twist cap, and it comes off in about one turn, which is very similar there to the Pelikan. We get some threads, and then a section that is chunky and slightly short with a flare out, and then a number 6 size Schmidt nib. And there are a few different nib options you can get on these Admok pens. I quite like a Schmidt nib. I find them super consistent, they write really well, and that's no different here. And then a plastic feed. Now, I said it is a piston filling pen, so basically what you do is you dip that into a bottle of ink past the breather point just at the back there, so that the nib is completely submerged, and then you turn this knob, and as you turn that, a piston runs up and down inside the pen, and as you draw the piston back up, it draws ink up into the pen. It's very simple. It works like a converter, but the entire pen is the converter. So you fill the pen's body with ink. It's basically an all plastic pen. And so therefore it's fairly lightweight. Just, quick comparison of the weight of that versus the Pelikan. It's definitely lighter there than the Pelikan. But aside from that, it's a nice size pen. It's got, sort of pretty decent, dimensions and design features and things like that. It's very comfortable, and it writes very well, which you'll see slightly later in the video. For today's size comparison, I have it here alongside, firstly, the Lamy Safari, of course. Then the Pelikan M1000, which is a gold trim, slightly bigger. There's the Admok M800, the Pelikan M805, and then the Pelikan M200. And I got the 200 out here because that also has one of these nice swirly, chatoyant materials, which is not dissimilar in style to the material of the Admok there. Obviously different color there, but you can see it's a good size pen. Like a Lamy Safari I take as kind of like the standard size pen, about that 140 millimeter length, and it's pretty much bang on there with that. Here they are uncapped, and you can see once again the dimensions remain fairly similar, bigger than the 200 of course, and about the same as the Lamy. One thing I quickly wanted to show you that's a little interesting here is the Admok M800 body. Here is the cap from the Pelican M805. Perfect fit. So even down to the thread profile, it's pretty similar. Now, one thing I love about the Pelican pens is how they post, and unfortunately that's not something that this Admok shares. You can post it, but it doesn't post super securely. It sort of posts onto the gold ring and the piston there, but it's not as deep or sort of as nice a posting. But you can see it puts it into that same length as the M1000 there. So it's quite a long pen when it's posted. Okay, so what are the specific dimensions of the Admok M800? Well, it is 140 millimeters when it is capped. It's 128 when it's uncapped. So it's a good length. It's perfectly fine. Posted, it's 165, so it's a pretty decent sort of length there. But as I said, it doesn't post it posts quite securely, but not comfortably, if that makes sense. Around the section is about 10 to 11 millimeters. And around the cap is about 15. The pen weighs 23 grams, 14 in the body, 9 in the cap. So yes, you do feel the weight on the back there when it is posted, but it's not so heavy to make it uncomfortable. Now, I said it was a piston filling fountain pen, and often piston fillers have a bigger ink capacity, and this one has a capacity of about 1.45 milliliters. So it's more than something like the Lamy 2000, but not quite as much as a number of other piston filling pens. Time for a writing sample here, and we've got the Admok M800. I have it here with I'll just put it down here, fine number 6 steel Schmidt nib, and the ink in this is Robert Oster. And this is an ink from the Australian Cities series. He made a US Cities series as well. This is from the Australian series, and it is Sydney. A nice sort of, I suppose, tealy blue, dark turquoisey sort of colour, hints of greys and things, supposed to sort of emulate, the colour of Sydney Harbour and all that kind of stuff, which, is fantastic. As I'm filming this, we're performing Phantom of the Opera on Sydney Harbour, so I'm surrounded by all this blue daily, which is quite lovely. Let's do some writing. So I have a couple of little thoughts about the writing with this particular nib. Schmidt nibs are reliable. I've been enjoying them recently. I enjoyed them more than Bock, not quite as much as Jowo. In general, obviously there are exceptions to all of those rules. This one writes nice and wet. It writes consistently, reliably, but I'm sure, except for that 2 spots it didn't there, but I'm sure you can hear that feedback. It's not scratchy, but it is feedback, and it feels very stiff on the page. Schmidt nibs can also have a bit of bounce to them. Now, you can squeeze a tiny bit of line variation out of this nib if you're careful, but it feels a bit more... it just feels sort of stiff on the page. Now, I don't mind that. I like a daily writer that writes consistently and reliably. I don't need a flex nib. I don't need soft. I want consistent. And this is certainly that. And as I said, it does write quite wet. Reverse writing is very doable. It's, apart from a couple of particular strokes, it's smooth enough to get a few words out. All of that. Fast writing. It does amplify, had a few little spots of sort of skipping just there. And we're getting a few in there as well. So it doesn't love aggressive writing, but for sort of standard everyday writing, it's okay. Now, I have better Schmidt nibs in my collection. Absolutely down, straight up. I have much better nibs than this. But this is okay. As I said, it writes, generally speaking, reliably and consistently. I haven't had hard starts. I haven't had ink starvation. I haven't had anything like that, apart from a couple of spots like in the writing sample there where it sort of just pushed it to its limit. It's quite nice, and it does the job. And that for me is this pen's kind of biggest strength, is the fact that it kind of does what it's designed to do. So what does it cost? Well, this is a Chinese-made fountain pen. It's not going to cost anywhere near as much as its European lookalike. You know, it's a 16th the price, roughly, of a Pelikan M800. This retails for between $45 and $50 Australian through sites like AliExpress. So it's affordable. It's a piston filler. It's got a Schmidt nib on it, which is better than, in my opinion, better than a lot of, the Chinese-made nibs. I think Asvine are doing great things. Hongdian generally do great things, but a lot of other brands are inconsistent, and there are brands like Marjon, which the nibs, except for the Sun nib on the number 8 one, I don't love. I don't love the Narwhal nibs traditionally. Pen BBS don't do it for me. So Schmidt, I'm happy with. It's a German-made nib on a Chinese-made pen. Lots of those going around. So I'm quite happy with that price point. But there are a lot of issues here. So let's talk about some pros and cons. So what are the cons? Firstly, sort of aesthetic and practical one. There's no ink window, and this material is not at all translucent. So you never have any idea as to how much ink you have left in the pen. And there are pens that are infinitely more expensive. Like when I got the M1000 here, unfortunately, mine is one of the ones that isn't transparent through the stripes. So you can't see the ink level on that either. It's an issue. Please address this, companies. Like if a number of other, Chinese brands, I'm looking at Asvine once again, on a couple of their models, have ink windows. There's no reason why this pen couldn't have a little ink window just at the top there to allow us to see the ink level. Another issue is that things sort of feel lightweight. Now, if you're getting this pen as a way to test whether you want an M800, if it's a good size, sure, go for it. Decent option. But please, 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 understand that what you're going to feel using this pen is not what you're going to feel using something like the M800 it is modeled off. This is a sturdy, heavy pen with smooth, beautiful threads, no slackness. The build quality just is not the same. But it is modeled off it, and that is another issue here. It is a homage, it's inspired by, it's whatever you want to say. This is not an original design from Admok. And people fall on either side of the fence on this, and I tend to fall on either on the fence or in the category of the original pen. And in this case, even with the price jump, I just think this is too close. I know they're not marketing it as an M800 from Pelikan, but they are marketing it as an M800 with the same dimensions, the same features. The fact that the caps are interchangeable. There's so much going on here. And which makes the Ingenuity label on the back of the cap there kind of hilarious. But there are pros to this pen, obviously. The nib, it's a Schmidt nib, so it writes well, and also you could replace it with any other Schmidt nib number 6 you want. So that's great. It's got a piston mechanism that works really well. I love this blue material. I think that chatoyance there is gorgeous. It's lovely. I love the depth of it. These these materials, a lot of these Chinese pens are made out of like the Galaxy materials and things like that, are really, really gorgeous. And look, I do like the price point. At 45 to 50 Australian dollars, you're getting a pen that, has a lovely look to it, even though it's not their own. Nice materials, piston, decent nib, all that kind of thing. So that's the Admok M800. It's a pretty decent pen, like good Schmidt nib, nice build quality, all of that kind of stuff. And of course, a great form and function, not necessarily their own. But, if you don't want to spend 800 Australian dollars on a fountain pen, this is not a bad option. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and hit the notifications button. As I said, please consider becoming a member of this channel. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.